everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, the DRF race of the day for Friday, April the 28th, race number 8 at Keeneland, closing day of the Keeneland Spring Meet. The Grade 3 Bewitch Stakes is our race of the day. We're going 1.5 miles on the turf, 3 turns on the Keeneland turf course. Let's take a look at this field of fillies and mares. $300,000 is the purse. Very familiar name, your odds-on morning line favorite. That's the 4 Warlike Goddess, who came off the layoff last year to win this race and ran a good third in the Breeders' Cup Turf last time out against the boys.
Yeah, really good to have her back, Dan. We'll see if she's ready off the layoff this year as she was last year, because obviously after winning the Bewitch off the bench last year, she just went on and had a terrific campaign, including that Breeders' Cup that you just mentioned. She ran great that day.
Warlike Goddess was compromised by a slow pace when she was beaten at Saratoga in the Flower Bowl. There's a chance this pace could be slow again. Let's throw up the Timeform US Pace Projector. It's one of those rare gray bar situations which says, hey, there's not a lot of speed in this race. And you have to agree after looking at the past performances. That being said, the horse expected to lead, Chaton Rouge, really looks like she's a horse that's hard to take on paper. And I have a feeling that Warlike Goddess has a lot more tactical speed than she's been given credit for. She showed that when she won the Turf Classic, the Joe Hirsch 2-back.
Yeah, agreed. The most interesting thing about that Flower Bowl, where she was badly pace compromised, Dan, is that it was just odd to see her ridden that way, because in her prior 2 starts, she had kept relatively close to the pace and had no problem with it. Her start right after that, she did the same. But for some reason, in that Flower Bowl, Rosario took her back and had her out of position. She does not have to be ridden that way.
We'll start things off with the horse down on the rail. A big price, number 1, Chaton Rouge. She's 0 for 13 on turf. She's only won once in her career. That was a maiden claimer in an off-turf race. She's stepping up in class. She's stepping up in distance. I guess the best thing going for her is the potential pace advantage. But boy, even if she walks the dog on the lead, it's hard to imagine her holding off some of these classy ladies.
Yeah, it's not going to matter, Dan. I mean, she can make the lead here and go as slow as she wants. She can't beat this field.
Temple City Terror, on the other hand, has shown some good form in the past, and she's pretty tactical. She has won the Grade 3 Long Island 2 starts back, and she really improved when stretching out about 1.5 to 2 years ago. Now, she has recency over the favorite. She raced in a 1 1/8 race, the Hillsborough, last time out, and I think that was an excellent prep at a distance that's just too short for her.
Yeah, I would look at it that way too. I mean, all in all, I guess she ran fine in there. The trip was a pretty good one. She was never that far away and just sort of raced on evenly through the stretch of that race. But it's too short for her. She's better going longer. They will stretch her right out now to a better distance. And this is a really good distance for her. The interesting thing, though, Dan, is she's 3 for 5 going 1.5 miles. And both of those losses going 1.5 miles are the 2 times that she ran against Warlike Goddess. Warlike Goddess has had her number so far, but this mare got really good towards the end of last year.
But she did win the Dowager over course and distance last fall. She does have the prep, and one of the horses she finished ahead of last time out did come back to win an allowance race on the Keeneland lawn with an 86 Spire. The number 3 is Ensemble. This horse ran in the very 1 stakes last time out at Gulfstream Park. She was getting a major class test, Mike, stepping up off a first-level allowance win, and she got the right pace set up, and she just didn't really fire. She still has to, or at least to me, prove that she's a graded stakes quality filly.
Yeah, she's got a lot to prove here. This is not an easy race for her. And so far, she just hasn't run a race that's going to make her a serious contender in here. She did show 2 back that she can get the 1.5 miles. So that's a good thing, Dan. But this is a way tougher race than that one. Brendan Walsh on a pretty good run right now. I don't think it's going to help this horse too much.
The number 4 is Warlike Goddess, never off the board from 13 lifetime starts, the defending winner of the Bewitch. Let's go back to her race in the Breeders' Cup Turf last time. And I thought she was a little bit conservatively ridden in the early part of this race. Maybe she could have been a little bit closer. She saved ground in mid-pack, had to be steadied a little bit turning into the stretch. She's going to spy a hole here. And for a brief second, it looks like she's going to come with a big run once she split horses in the 2-path. And then she'll settle for a good third behind 2 nice older males.
Yeah, she ran well in this race. The trip ultimately worked out for her. She did her best with it. It was only 3rd best. It was still a good performance against a quality field. Dan, her overall record just kind of speaks for itself. The distance is no issue for her. She's been good off of layoffs in the past. She's looking for her 3rd straight win in the Bewitch. And if she shows up and runs her race off the layoff, she's going to take a ton of beating in here.
Here's an up-and-comer, the number 5 personal best going out for Shug McGahee. We're going to watch her most recent race, the Grade 3 Orchid, coming on the heels of victory in the graded La Prevoyante at Gulfstream. She's on the outside in this race, and she's going to come with a nice close to finish second. The winner of this race, Amazing Grace, is a promising runner from Europe.
Yeah, that horse arrived from Germany with pretty good form. Amazing Grace. She's just going to outfinish personal best here. This filly has no excuse in this race. Dan. She got a really good trip. She made the lead in the stretch, and she was only second best in there, but it was still another step in the right direction. I would like her more probably if she had wound up winning that race that we just watched, but she still ran well, and I can see her taking another step forward.
Sopran Basilia completes the field. Speaking of European invaders, here's one coming from Italy for trainer Graham Motion. This horse sold for $315,000 in December and is now with Graham, who's just excellent off layoffs. Watched her last race. She defended that title in the Group 2 Lydia Tessio. I thought all in all the trip was okay. She saved ground in mid-pack. She got a split. She made the lead. She ran well. She just got pipped on the wire. Now, she was entered in one of those canceled stakes races at Laurel last week going a mile. And I asked Graham, it seems like the distance of 1.5 miles is more to her liking. He said she seems a little bit sharp off the layoff. Maybe 1.5 miles might be too far, but she seems to be training well, and she does fit at least somewhat from a class perspective.
I mean, I guess she does. It's kind of hard to tell, those races over in Italy. It's hard to tell how they're going to class up when they get over here. She won once last year, Dan. It was off the layoff, but it was in an allowance race. And then she didn't win again. Worth noting, 2 starts back, she was in against Atomic Blonde, another horse who shipped over here for Clement. It was in that personal best race last time and sort of finished an okay third in there. This filly's going to have to run a lot better than that.
Yeah, she did finish ahead of Atomic Blonde in her most recent start, the Lydia Tessio. Distance good for her. We'll see what we get off of the layoff for Sopran Basilia, because she is taking on one of the top horses, regardless of gender, one of the top turf horses going longer distances in the entire country. Before we get to our top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for the latest DRF videos. Top pick time for our Friday race of the day. It's the Grade 3 Bewitch. Hate to chalk out, but boy, Warlike Goddess, if she brings her A game, is going to be real tough.
Yeah, I don't really want to bet against her, Dan, so I'm just going to take her on top. I mean, I can see Temple City Terror maybe making it a little closer this time, but man, she's been no match for this mare in the past, so something's going to have to change here if she's going to pull up what would be a little bit of an upset.
Curious to see if personal best continues her ascension for Shug McGahee. She seems to be improving with maturity and distance like many McGahee trained horses, but they all got to beat Warlike Goddess. Mike's going 4.256. I'm going 4.526 in the Bewitch on closing Friday at Keeneland. Best of luck.